Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Emily and this is going to be the first of a few reading vlogs that I want to do over the summer. So it's actually Wednesday, which is not the best time to start a reading vlog, especially since I think this is going to go up Friday. But I figured I have a lot of reading that's going to be happening over the next couple days, a lot of books that I need to start, need to finish, so it's going to be action-packed, well, as action-packed as it can be anyways, in terms of reading, and it's also really easy for me to catch you up on what happened in the beginning of the week. Basically, in the beginning of this week, I read and finished The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde.
It was crazy.
I was lucky. I went into this book completely unspoiled. I knew obviously it had something to do with a portrait that grew old while Dorian Gray stayed young. Oh, this lighting. I had to rearrange my desk space again. I had it against a window that's right here, but last night or like yesterday afternoon, it started pouring, and when it pours in Florida, it's like torrential downpour, like hurricane, and my desk was right under it with obviously like a big monitor and my laptop and books, so I had to rearrange. So this is my new setup again. This is like the fourth time I've rearranged since coming back. But Picture of Dorian Gray. So I was completely unspoiled going into this, and I think that really added to the reading experience. It was the first 100 pages I was reading and I really wasn't enjoying it. I was like,
This is people's favorite books of all time.
And then I think once Dorian Gray realized what was happening with the portrait, that's when the book became really interesting to me. The lead up was important, but I didn't necessarily just enjoy reading the lead up. But I really liked this book. I think I gave it 3.5 or 4 stars on Goodreads. I have a little bit of a review on Goodreads, so make sure you check that out too. That's the book that I finished so far this week, but as you can see behind my candle, there are a lot of other books that I need to start this week. So I'm going to start with the book on my Kindle because I bought this kind of just on a whim. The book that I have on here is The Jane Austen Society. I don't know if you can see it. The Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner. Like I said, I bought this on a whim. I've been in a Jane Austen mood, which you'll see in a second, but I saw this pop up on my recommended and I was like, hey, I'm interested in the Jane Austen Society and the Jane Austen House Museum in Chawton. And that's what this is about. It's set in, I believe, the 1930s and 40s as people in the village of Chawton work to create the Jane Austen Society, which will eventually purchase the Jane Austen House Museum, Chawton Cottage, where she lived with her mother and her sister in the latter part of her life. I'm really interested. I want to read more historical fiction novels. I'm a history student, but I don't read much historical fiction. I get anxious about historical accuracies, but I'm really excited to pick this up. This is going to be a pretty quick read, I think. I'll probably I hope to finish it by Friday. So I'm gonna get started on this. I'm on chapter 1, but I'm only a few pages in just because I finished The Picture of Dorian Gray kind of late afternoon yesterday, and yesterday was my birthday, so I wasn't doing a ton of heavy reading with it, but excited to pick that up. I'm doing a little bit of a reread. This is where you can see the Jane Austen. I am a Jane Austen addict. I love her so much. As you can see, this is one of like 4 copies of Pride and Prejudice that I own, and this is my tabbed copy, my tabbed and slightly annotated. I convinced my family, because it was my birthday yesterday, to watch the 2005 movie with me. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, even though the 1995 version is more accurate, but it's longer, and my family definitely wasn't gonna do all of those episodes, so we did the 2005 version, and I was watching that movie and I was like, I really just want to reread Pride and Prejudice and all of Jane Austen's books. So that's what I'm gonna do, and Jalen and I are going to do a buddy read. I'm gonna drop off a copy for her, and then we both have the free audiobook that's narrated by Kate Beckinsale. If you guys have iPhones, It's free on iBooks, and it is a great audiobook. I've listened to it before, but we are gonna start this. I love this book so much. It's my favorite book of all time. I love it. Oh, this book makes me so happy, and it is so funny, and that was something I was thinking about when I was watching the 2005 version. I am so excited for someone to finally make a Pride and Prejudice adaptation that is as funny as the book, because I think, okay, this is a tangent, but I think we're getting there, okay? So I think Emma 2020 that came out really kind of keyed into the humor of Jane Austen in Emma, because Emma is a really funny book. Like, I think it's funnier than Pride and Prejudice, honestly. And I think that movie really keyed into the humor. I think it missed out on some parts, but I think it got Mrs. Bates, it got Mrs. Elton, and it got that humor, and I feel like no Pride and Prejudice adaptation has done justice to the humor of Jane Austen. I mean, people kind of just mindlessly read that first line. You know, the infamous first line of Pride and Prejudice, it's a truth universally acknowledged. That line is hilarious. It's just full of satire, and that's what this entire book is, and I am just waiting for some director somewhere to come through and finally write the funny version of Pride and Prejudice that we all deserve. But yeah, my tangent over. Going to be reading this. These are my 2 book club books. I'm in 2 book clubs with my friends. So one is with my friends from college, and the other one is with my friends from my hometown, people that I went to high school with. We didn't keep in that close of connection from high school to now, but now that everyone's in quarantine, we're in our hometowns, we all kind of reconnected. We've all followed each other through Goodreads over the past 4 years, and we've decided to just start a virtual remote book club. The first book I have is actually for my college book club, which is called
The Bitchin' Book Club.
Just letting you know, the book that was selected for this round, this is our 3rd book. We read Normal People by Sally Rooney, we read Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood, and now we are reading The Little Friend by Donna Tartt, which I own all of Donna Tartt's books now. I bought this one. Also, this copy flops like the best paperback, like flops without having to break the spine. Oh, it's beautiful. I've only read The Secret History. I absolutely loved it. I have the Goldfinch, but it's so thick. It's a commitment that I haven't made yet. I've had it on my shelf for about a year, I think, but I'm going to have to read this. And I'm really excited. This is the Donna Tartt book that doesn't get as much hype as all of her other ones, because obviously The Secret History is a cult classic, and The Goldfinch was made into a movie and won, I think, the Man Booker Award, and this one kind of gets passed over, you know, the middle book, middle child. But I'm really excited for it. It seems super spooky and creepy, and the back just got me. The setting's in Mississippi, and a woman walked out of her house to find her 12-year-old son hanging from a tree, and this is it's set 12 years after that, and his murder is still unsolved. And so his sister, who's now obviously 12 years grown up, is determined to find out who his killer is. I think Donna Tartt is honestly a genius. She only writes like a book a decade, so hopefully that means we're getting one soon, but because Goldfinch came out in 2013, but honestly, I think she's a genius, so I'm really excited to pick this up. So I need to start reading this week. I have more time to read this. It's not something that I need to read particularly quickly, because I think we're going to taking a full month to read this book and having kind of like a halfway point check-in. The last book that I need to start reading this week, and it's Wednesday, mind you, so I need to start reading these today, is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. So this is for the book club with my friends from high school that we started, and this is the first book we picked. We literally just started it. It was really unexpected but really exciting, and the way we did it is we didn't vote on books. There are only 5 of us, so we all just submitted a book, and then we put them into a random list generator, and it just randomized the list, and we were like, that's the order we're gonna read in, so everyone gets a pick, which is nice. And this was Jalen's pick, actually. I just happened to have it because we've both been meaning to read it for forever. So I'm gonna have to finally read it. I want to. Like, that's the thing, is I bought this because I really, really wanted to read it, even though it's hardback and I really prefer paperback books. I was like, I still need to have it. I bought it in January and I just haven't picked it up. And I need to. The Night Circus, which is Erin Morgenstern's other book, is one of my favorite books of all time. And from what I understand, this is kind of like a low fantasy. I don't know if that's even like a phrase, low fantasy, but not high fantasy. Or maybe it is. Basically, the main character, Zachary Ezra Rollins, is searching for a door to get to the shores of the Starless Sea beneath the surface of the earth. And it's like a mystery, I think. I don't know. I don't even think I want to know that much going into it, but it's beautiful. Like, look at the cover. Like, oh my gosh. I'm excited to finally read this. I've heard that it's good. I've heard it's not as good as The Night Circus, but honestly, The Night Circus was so amazing. If this book comes halfway close, it's gonna be fantastic, and I know it. Those are the books that I'm starting this week. This was just kind of like a quick introduction of those books, and well, I say quick, it's been about 15 minutes that I've been filming this, but just an introduction of the books that I'm going to be starting this week, and Dorian Gray, which is the book that I finished. I have a lot of reading I need to do. These I'm probably going to start Friday, is what I'm thinking, or I may end up having to start them over the weekend, and since this is going to go up on Friday, they may not feature again until my next reading vlog when I actually do a full week. So you may not see these for the rest of this video, but you will definitely see Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and I don't have the cover pulled up, and Jane Austen Society. So these two are going to be my focus. I need to talk to Jalen about what we're thinking about for the pacing of Pride and Prejudice. She's read it once, I think, and I know I've read it so many times I could just blast through, but I don't want to. I want to enjoy it, and especially in a buddy read. So I'm gonna have to talk to her today about that. And my schedule's really weird today, which I hate, so I'm working remotely still, which is really nice. Even though I graduated, I was able to keep my on-campus job through the end of June, so I'm working remotely, but I'm only allowed to work certain hours, pretty limited hours, honestly. But I have 3 meetings today, and that will constitute my entire work day today. This is based on the limited hours. So I have a meeting from 9 to 10. So in about 20 minutes, I have a meeting from 1 to 2. And then I have a full staff meeting from 4 to 5. Today is just meetings and catch-up work on that because I didn't work yesterday because it was my birthday, which I've mentioned about 5 times. Since it's almost 9, I probably won't be doing a lot of reading right now. I'll probably start reading after my 9 o'clock meeting, so around 10. I'm really excited to read. I'm finally over my reading slump. I was in the worst reading slump a couple weeks ago. That's because I was like in the middle of Alias Grace, and I was like, I have to read this book for book club so I can talk about it. And I was behind, so I was trying to catch up on that, and I just got myself into a reading slump. But all of these books that I have that I need to read, I'm so excited to read and pick up. So I'm gonna do that, and I will check in with you guys later. So it's 4 o'clock, and I really haven't done any reading today. I think I said earlier, today was a really weird day. I had meetings all day, just at weird periods of time, and I had to do prep for all of these meetings, and so I really just didn't have time. But I have an hour before I need to leave to go to dinner. I'm going over to my dad's for dinner. When you have divorced parents, you have 2 birthday celebrations, and I think I'm gonna read Pride and Prejudice a little bit. I'm not sure. I split it up. The orange tabs are each volume, so Jalen and I in our buddy read. Next Friday, we're going to talk about volume 1. We really wanted to take it slow, this book, because I've read it so many times, I could really just blast through it, but I really want to like take my time and enjoy it. So I think we're going to meet and talk about it next Friday, and by meet, like we're gonna Google chat and we're gonna talk about volume 1. So I just need to read up to there by next Friday. So it shouldn't be too bad. I love this edition, by the way. I think it's so fun. Or, you know, as I'm saying that, I kind of want to read the Jane Austen Society because I'm like 2 pages in and I really just want to get into it more because I know it's going to be a quick read for me. So maybe I'll do that for about 30 minutes and then I need to get ready to go. So I think actually I'm going to do that. Way to change my plans halfway through saying them. So yeah, I'm going to read some of the Jane Austen Society and then I'll head to dinner. Okay, so I've just finished chapter 3 of the Jane Austen Society. I'm liking it so far, but I can also tell it's a lot of Jane Austen fan service, which I'm such a big Jane Austen fan that it's fan service for me, so I'm here for it. But I think the chronology is kind of weird. The first chapter was set in the 1930s, and then the second one, it was in 1943, the third one 1945, and it looks like the fourth one will be 1945. But we've been introduced to a few main characters, and I'm thinking that those 4 are going to be the main characters throughout. I don't know the entire story of the founding of the Jane Austen Society itself, so I'm interested to see, and I'll be interested to read after I finish this book, what the actual story was. I have to go now. I have to go on a long car ride to dinner because it's about 30 minutes away, so I'm thinking about starting the Pride and Prejudice audiobook on my way there and back because I would get about a full hour of listening in. And then maybe I'll read this a little bit more tonight. Hello, hi, good morning, or should I say good afternoon because it's 2 o'clock. I have been up for a long time. I haven't done any reading, which is why I haven't filmed any updates, but I worked this morning until noon, and I've been apartment hunting since then because I'm looking for an apartment to live in when I start my graduate program in the fall in Michigan. And obviously I can't go to Michigan right now, so I'm having to go completely online and it is a struggle. So I finally decided that I'm gonna stop house hunting for the day and I think I'm gonna play some Minecraft and listen to an audiobook. I got another audiobook called A Murmur of Bees, I think. But I also have the Pride and Prejudice one, so I may just listen to Pride and Prejudice a little bit and then I can read more of the Jane Austen Society a little bit later. But I just did so much thinking so far today with house hunting and with work that I just want to stare at Minecraft for a little bit and just listen and not have to read actively, you know? I'm tired, so gonna do that. Gonna have a Mountain Dew so that I actually have energy to read in a little bit. It was so nice this morning, and in true Florida style, it's now raining. I know I haven't been filming much, which is not good for a reading vlog, but I'll just give you a quick update. It's Friday morning. I just finished work. Work has been literally insane the past couple days. The amount of meetings that I've been in for my part-time job is just insane. I've had no time to do any actual work that I need to do. I've just been in meetings. I did a lot of reading last night and yesterday. I think I got some footage of me reading Pride and Prejudice, which I love this book so much. So, update on Pride and Prejudice. I am on chapter 16, page 56 in volume 1. Volume 1 ends with chapter 20, the end of chapter 23 on page 97. So I only have about 40 pages left until I finish volume 1, so I'm probably gonna put it down for a second because Jalen and I aren't supposed to be talking about this until next Friday. Maybe I'll talk to her and see if we want to move it up to Wednesday or something, so I don't forget what happens, because I think she started it as well already. I'm loving it. Jane Austen is a genius. I'm tabbing it even more. So the pink tabs that I had were my original tabs, which I just put on my favorite scenes, basically. I don't have a super complex tabbing system. I just tab my favorite scenes so that I can go look at them later. But I was tabbing and then I was underlining stuff. She's just so good. I can't stress how good she is. That's my Pride and Prejudice update. I love it so much. But yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to Jalen because I'm not blasting through it, but I'm going through it quicker than I originally anticipated. And then for the Jane Austen Society, I'm 50% of the way through as of this morning. And I have a lot of thoughts about this book. I like it, but mostly because I love Jane Austen. I feel like it's supposed to be historical fiction, but I feel like that doesn't really come across. You get, you know, the occasional reference to the war and to people dying in the war, and then like an occasional ration card. And I feel like that kind of lack of, you know, building the historical setting, sometimes it's really easy to overdo it and be like, we're in the 1940s, we have old cars and old clothes. But I feel like it's almost not happening enough and you're not getting that historical setting as much, at least as much as I would have liked. I'm starting to care for the characters, but I think the pacing has been pretty slow from the beginning. Like, we didn't get the society even as like a concept being formed until like 40% of the way through the book. And it's like, should have happened a little bit earlier. I understand the characters' backstories are important to everything, but also it doesn't explain why they love Jane Austen. It's just, you know, I feel like so much more could have been done with their backstories. I am starting to care about the characters, but there are so many of them. And I understand that obviously she's adapting the real story of the founding of the Jane Austen Society, and all of these people were involved, but I think picking out like 2 or 3 of them rather than telling the backstories of like 6 full characters would be much better. So I think it just would have flowed better, and because I would get lost, I'd get confused, I'd be like, who is this, who is who? So those are my thoughts on it, but I'm 50% of the way through. Things are starting to pick up and get interesting in terms of the politics of what's happening, so I'm definitely gonna finish it because I'm reading currently. I'm obviously not very far through it. I go through nonfiction books much slower than fiction books, but I'm reading Jane Austen's Cult and Cultures by Claudia L. Johnson. I'm on a Jane Austen binge. We've talked about this, y'all know. And she has a chapter, it's basically about Jane Austen's afterlife. So it has, you know, how she was read in the Victorian period, how she was read during World War I, World War II. And then the last chapter, though, is on Jane Austen's house and basically going through the history. Let me see if I can find, here it is, Jane Austen's house. And going through the history of the house, who lived in it, whose hands it belonged to, how the museum was founded from the society. There's the house itself, I've been there, how the museum was founded, how the society purchased the museum, and I'm very interested when I'm done with this to read that chapter in particular, to kind of compare the stories to see how much she fictionalized, because I think that also will I think it genuinely will influence my rating of it, because, you know, if some of these intricacies that I'm thinking are kind of weird or part of the actual story, then they were part of the actual story, and she could have presented them in a better way maybe, but also you can't change the facts. Today, what I'm gonna do, because I'm done for the day, which is so exciting, I'm not gonna read any more Pride and Prejudice yet. I need to talk to Jalen first, because I don't want to get too far ahead and then forget the specific details that I wanted to talk about when we talked about it together. So I'm going to read more of the Jane Austen Society, and then I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I probably should start one of my book club books. I was gonna wait till this weekend, but if I have extra reading time, I might as well. Doing these vlogs motivates me to read, and it also, I can share what I'm reading, which is fun. I can record my own thoughts while I'm actually in the middle of the book, which is so useful to be able to go back and be like, what was my experience reading this book? I think it's so much fun. So I definitely want to do these weekly. Maybe not weekly, maybe bi-weekly, but I'm definitely going to do one next week as I continue reading all of these books that I need to read, but it's my update for now. So I think I'm going to read some more of the Jane Austen Society currently, and then after lunch, figure out what I'm going to do. Okay guys, I think I'm gonna end the vlog here. I am about to work out and I'm about to get gross and sweaty and take a break from reading for a while. So that was my like 2 or 3 day, half a week reading vlog. Next week I'm gonna try to do a full week, I think, because it was really fun and it's motivating to be able to see myself reading and see the process and record my thoughts as I'm reading. This was a very Jane Austen filled reading vlog now that I'm thinking about it. I don't mind at all. I got about 70% of the way through the Jane Austen Society, hoping to finish it up tonight or tomorrow morning, and I got about halfway through volume 1 of Pride and Prejudice for my buddy reread with Jalen that we are going to discuss now decided on Wednesday. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great week.